you have an idea how long you can interact with people while they unlock their phone? Researchers at Stanford did a study on exactly this topic. It turns out you have 1.6 seconds to have people answer short questions. Staying under that irritation threshold allows to capture a lot of reliable data. Q1.6 uses that micro-moment concept to interact with patients, for example as part of clinical trials or for patient support programs. Imagine you're a subject participating in one of these trials. Here you see a very simple first question. Remember, you need to be able to read, understand and answer the questions in 1.6 seconds. In this second example, the app noticed you may have had a bad night of sleep. It asked for the reason. Notice that this only pops up if relevant. If the sensor data collected in the background shows that there is no need to pop up questions, the app stays dormant and does not disturb you. Q1.6 is now developing more advanced features. Here you see a combined view on sleep and sleep quality. The data, as is measured by a smartwatch or other sensor, is at the left, combined with your answers on the right. Next to sleep, you can, of course, measure activity. And you can go beyond the familiar number of steps during the day. We can integrate detailed sensor logging about cycling and running distance, and even the number of times you went up the stairs. This is a bring-your-own-device solution that is installed on people's smartphone, so they take it with them all the time, making it a reliable source of data input. This concept is a holy grail of data collection. Through Q1.6, we collect more data. We collect it faster, with less effort. And because you answer it on the spot, the captured data is more reliable.
Good afternoon, and thank you also on behalf of my co-speaker, Philip Grange, for the opportunity to present on our digital solution, SPI, CSATs, visible patient, and Q1.6, which you just saw a video on. So, though we are not pilots but surgeons, we share some characteristics with them. We need to be highly skilled and trained, and we have the responsibility of the lives of other people. So,
grounded for 24 hours, Southwest Flight 4013 gracefully took off and was finally headed in the right direction. Rewind to Sunday night, 2 veteran pilots were at the controls, but it appears they made a rookie mistake. The plane with more than 100 passengers on board should have landed at Branson Airport in Missouri. Instead, it touched down at Taney County Airport, about 7 miles away. The 737 quickly runs out of runway. The pilot jams the brakes, and the plane stops just 300 feet from a steep embankment.
Well, think you are on a plane, on a pleasure on a pleasure trip or a trip for your job, and this happens to you. So I figure you would not be happy about it. And something like this can also happen when you are undergoing surgery. Indeed, as we said, we can compare a surgical procedure to an airplane trip. Which are the 3 elements of a successful flight? As we just saw in the previous video, get from start to the intended location. Adverse and unanticipated conditions during the trip should be managed. For example, a weather perturbation or traffic jams and so forth. But also, and maybe very importantly, the aircraft personnel should be trained and master the technology they use during the flight. But beside that, a perfect synchronization of processes is needed to allow a plane to land. And even more, when you have to coordinate the landing of 2 airplanes, as you see in this in the video on the right. To accomplish this, as well as other very complex tasks like the surgical procedures, highly standardized processes are needed. And for a perfect and safe execution, excellence in planning, training, and assessing is needed. So to achieve that level of excellence, not only pilots, but also, for example, musicians and dancers have a written plan and record their performance, which are then available for assessment when needed to improve. These professionals are similar, since pilots, musicians, and dancers all demonstrate high levels of skills, high stake, and exposure to stress, and all need a group of people to accomplish their goal. Surgeons are alike them, and all of them know by heart what they will do. However, pilots, musicians, and dancers follow precisely planned instructions, record the performance, and often review and assess continuously their performance. As a result, variability is very limited, and learners are supported. Surgeons, on the other hand, enter the OR with a plan in their brain, execute it, assuming that the team will follow and record elements of the procedure after the performance. In other words, they enter the OR with a blank sheet. And this results in variability. We at Johnson & Johnson are convinced that digital solutions offer the surgeons a new era centered on patient safety and quality. So as we said, we are not pilots, but we should take some examples on how they deal with training and learning. As we mentioned, the reason to fill the blank sheet in the OR is because it brings variability, both in learning and in execution. Most of us as surgeons went through a learning model of surgery based on uncontrolled mentoring, which is nowadays even more enhanced by the wide use of tools such as YouTube. Most of us are also used to variability as a standard. There will be nothing wrong with that. Should no harm to patients happen. However, variability in learning and practice carries a risk of harm to patients and increased costs. Surgery-related deaths, accidents, incidents, adverse events, or complications happen, and a proportion of those are avoidable. Now, how can they be avoided? The WHO has highlighted 5 activities which may help in reducing medical error, going from standardizing the procedure, training of healthcare workers, involvement of patients in their care, the use of a safe and clean environment, and to report and learn from errors. For each of these steps, of these 5 steps listed by the WHO, we have one of our digital solutions which address them, as Visible Patient to simplify, standardize the procedure, to SPI, which is a tool for standardization, but as well as ensure a safe environment in the OR and helps in reporting, CSATs, which also helps in standardization and to learn from errors. And as we saw at the beginning of this session, the app Q1.6. So now I will leave the stage to my co-speaker Philippe Grange, who will go more in details over these solutions. Philippe.
Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you also to let the urologists participating in this fantastic meeting. Can you move to the next slide? That's the next. Okay. So Giovanni has showed you an overview of our preoperative solutions, whereas it is planning, surgical planning, and also intraoperative planning with SPI and postoperative assessment with CSAT, and involving engaging patients in their care, that is part of patient-centeredness with Q1.6. All these solutions accumulate data, collect data, allowing for enhanced information, and a surgeon who has enhanced information can potentially make better decisions and augment his skills. These solutions are also made for learners, and it's not always a medical student or a surgical resident, because we are all learning new procedure along our life. It's a lifelong learning with new technologies. And finally, a solution like Visible Patient move into the field of personalized care. We can really adjust the operation to the patient's specific anatomy, and also to simulation before the operation during the planning, such as clamping an artery and estimated the volume of parenchyma removed during the procedure. Next. We can launch the first one. Thanks, Giovanni. So here we see Visible Patient. It's providing a 3D reconstruction from a normal standard CT scan or MRI. So we change pixels into voxels, so volume rendering and surface rendering, providing important anatomical information with a clear visualization of the organs and also the ability to clamp the artery. So this is really a roadmap to surgery that is offered to surgeons in thoracic surgery, in liver surgery, in urology, in colorectal, and of course, potentially other specialties that we are now exploring. This is an exclusive partnership we have with Visible Patient, which is a French technology that we take now to the European-wide and soon, before the end of this year, to a worldwide exposure. Next, click. We have also a partnership with Simendo. We are here again in the field of preoperative preparation, preoperative simulation, preoperative planning, and enhancing skills before an intervention is an important part of patient safety. This has been demonstrated in different research and also is valid in different specialty with laparoscopy. Next movie.
At SPI, we believe every patient should have access to consistent high quality of care, no matter where, when, or by whom the surgery is performed. Reducing variability in surgical procedures is key to achieve this vision. To reduce variability, we offer digital surgery solutions, combining synchronized workflows, real-life learning, and effortless documentation, enabling surgeons to choreograph their OR, guiding the entire care team seamlessly through every surgery. Let's look at each component of the solution individually. Synchronized workflows. The step-by-step definition of what needs to be done bears a tremendous value for all team members in the OR. We provide an intuitive digital platform which allows care teams to design and implement their own step-by-step surgical workflows. These workflows are synchronized with adjacent processes and can be enhanced with important safety checks, surgeon notes, pictures, or videos. During surgery, the synchronized workflows are powered by SPI's digital solution and displayed on dedicated screens in the OR. The surgeon confirms when each step has been completed and thus guides through the surgery, with the system supporting the entire OR team in real time. While the surgeon is focused on the current step, the scrub nurse and other team members keep an eye on the next steps and can anticipate accordingly. For example, the suction device is turned on early enough as it needs some ramp-up time. The anesthetist receives an automatic reminder to call the next patient. The circulating nurse is notified that she is needed at a particular time in the surgery and stays in the OR. The OR coordinator will be informed automatically in case surgery takes longer. This allows the team to work together in harmony and may limit unnecessary distractions in the OR while potentially reducing the waiting time for upcoming patients. Real-life learning. Structured surgical workflows can be accessed anytime for training and educational purposes. Scrub nurses and residents, and in particular, new team members, can all study the surgeon's procedural approach ahead of an upcoming case. The surgeon and his team also have access to detailed case summaries and corresponding analytics that can provide insights on surgical performance. Surgical teams can also compare their performance to a benchmark for improvement, benefiting from the experience of a growing network of world-class clinical leaders. Effortless documentation. Right after surgery, the system automatically generates a digital operative report which documents the workflow followed step by step. The report fields can be customized as required, and pictures can be automatically imported and are linked to the right step in the surgical workflow. With just a few clicks, the operative report can be reviewed, edited, printed, or sent to the hospital information system. More than just a checklist, our system of synchronized workflows, real-life learning, and effortless documentation is developed to transform the surgical experience. By supporting care teams to operate in a synchronized and coordinated way, we aim to enable surgeons and hospitals to deliver consistent, high quality of care and efficiency in their OR.
So we have seen preoperative digital enhanced solutions. We have seen an intraoperative one.
The power of learning, the power of analytics, the power of peer review. CSATS helps you harness these powers in efforts to make surgery safer. A surgical skills improvement platform, CSATS is powered by data analytics and human insights to promote learning, sharing, and mentoring. With CSATS, you can capture and store your surgical videos, uncover valuable insights, benchmark yourself, and share your expertise in a secure and vetted community of peers on a global scale. CSAT's personalized and HIPAA-compliant library of case reports, actionable insights, and learning videos is a powerful resource which has been deployed in over 100 institutions across the country, including some of the nation's largest health systems. Track performance and continuously refine your skills so surgery can become safer for everyone.
SPI, which is coming from Europe, and that we expand now to Latin America and to North America. You have seen CSAT, a post-operative solution for assessment and self-progression that is coming from America to Europe. And we have mentioned earlier, engaging the patient by collecting essential patient-reported outcomes measurement with a very clever patient-facing downloadable application. Next slide. So all this data that each technology is collecting is data privacy compliant. And I don't say we collect data for us at Johnson & Johnson and at Ethicon. We collect data for our user, for our partners, hospitals, to support their reflective practice, their lifelong learning, and their ability to train the next generation of practitioners. Next. An example of the power of this digital solution, as an example here in urology, Early evidence is coming now. That was the first randomized publication showing a reduction of warm ischemia time for partial nephrectomy, which is really a concern because it could compromise the future function of the kidney. And in robotic assisted laparoscopic nephrectomy, this has been demonstrated with the next. Now we move from preoperative planning to intraoperative choreography, synchronization, efficiency, and reduction of variability. We also here have early published evidence that we obtain a reduction of operating time for some procedure, reduction of variability, for others, reduction of intraoperative bleeding. So we make progresses. And this is only the visible part, because all this data collected and this analytics capability inside are already used by our partners and our colleagues, surgeons, who run their department and assess their own performance and chase their room for improvement in the best interest for their patients. Next. It's also here the impact on learning curve. This is a German hospital in general surgery demonstrating a reduction of the learning curve. Now trainees are very close to senior surgeon, and since implementation of the digital workflow, the effect is stable. So it's really prolonged effect, and it's very interesting for their trainees. The next. And CSAT as well, postoperatively, allow for personalized training, allows also for sharing videos with a colleague, be part of a community, and also as an option to get personalized feedback from experts. So it's, of course, since it's digital, a lot is automatized, but there is also the possibility to get expert review. So next. CSAT analytics, exactly like we showed with intraoperative SPI, CSAT also can contribute to reduction of operating time, reduction of hospital stay, reduction of conversion to open surgery. The next. So I know many of us are concerned about data collection. Data collection, in our case, is not to profile people to advert for commercial use. No, our data collection are compliant, and we collect data with a clear clear ambition to contribute to the future health data space that the European Commission is working on. So our partners are the data owner, are the data host, and are the data user. We have data using agreement with them, and we support them. And it's just the first big data leading to real world data and to real world evidence is the first step. But the next step, of course, in the field of research, education, and healthcare is to improve, to predict, to warn, and in real time. That's where we want to go. And for that, we need to develop, and we have already developed machine learning capabilities. Next. And when we say this is the future, I would say, no, it's not the future. The future is already there. If we look at my colleagues, urologists, they have been already able from just video analytics to draw real world evidence. They were also able to predict clinical outcome, whether it's continence or potency. Next.
Yeah.
A conclusion to Giovanni.
Yeah, and I will conclude this short journey with this call to action, summarizing that these solutions are intelligent surgical technologies along the patient pathway. We saw preoperative, intraoperative, and postoperative solutions, which are beyond a PowerPoint presentation, but are already live in the OR and stepping into the future, building real-world data to prepare the future of real-world evidence. So the use of artificial intelligence has raised a lot of questions and doubts. on its use, but more important than use is the intended use of artificial intelligence, which is in this case not for profiling citizens, as Philippe was saying, but instead for scientific research, education, training, and finally aiming at improving quality of care. And all this is not done overnight, but great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together, as Van Gogh said, starting by opening your minds to the future. Thank you so much. So I don't know if there are any questions. I don't seem to see any questions on the chat. So thank you again. Good afternoon, and enjoy the rest of the Congress. Thank you so much.